Hello, welcome back to the dollhouse, the Exotical dollhouse. This is the doll, and I am back with another video today because I have been led to speak on the state of the union in our great country of America. And I'm defining the purpose of this channel, and I have landed on the purpose as being one to help heal the racial divide in America. That's the purpose of this channel, to help heal the racial divide from the perspective of a multi-generational mixed woman. This is a definition and a classification that has really come to the spotlight thanks to the Exoticals United channel. As an MLS woman, I have a unique perspective because I do mingle with various cultures. I'm able to fit into different environments. I can go from left to right. And what I can see is that Blacks in America are asking for equity, asking for equality, and also have a bit of hypocrisy preventing them from getting it, because you only get what you give. What I'm here today is just to bring focus back to the melting pot that America is, and the fact that this is the greatest country in the world. Right now, our culture is suffering because we have no real identity, and we have to bring it back because American culture is its greatest export. And if we want to preserve our way of life here, we will have to have some very powerful tools up against other countries like China, like Russia. I know people like to pretend like this is a terrible place to live. Most of the people who say that have never been out of the country. Hypocrisy among Blacks in America has to end so that we can have a better result in society. This is accordance to the 12 universal laws. We have mostly all heard about the law of attraction, where you get the same energy that you put out. And it's very similar to the law of correspondence, which is as above, so below. So when we're Black people being hypocritical and exhibiting aggressive behavior towards whites, microaggressions towards whites, and prejudices against whites, but expect for it not to happen to us, it's showing an ignorance of the universal laws that transcend culture, race, gender. And it's time for Blacks in America to end some of the practices. These microaggressions that work against us. And I'm saying us, but I don't really include myself as a person who does this, because I don't. If I have in the past, I have long since repented for it. But I'm saying this because it affects me. Bad behavior by a few of us affects all of us. Stereotypes exist for a reason. And as Black Americans, especially Black American women, we have positive stereotypes that we can lean into. I'm going to talk about that in another video coming up soon. But right now, some of the negative stereotypes is that Black women are mean, especially unambiguous Black women. MLS Black women have more of a reputation for being kind and approachable and humorous, easy to talk to. And you know, I'm not saying that all unambiguous Black women are standoffish or mean or aggressive, but these are some of the ways where Black women can improve that image by stopping these behaviors. And I'm going to list for behaviors. Okay. And it's really, these are what I would consider microaggressions that are acceptable things to say about white people that are supposed to be funny. So the first one is calling white women Karens. And anytime that a white woman has a grievance or is having a bad day and she's over 40, she can be labeled as a Karen. But if one of our aunties or mothers had a legitimate grievance or an illegitimate grievance or was just a little bit, irritated, if someone called her a Lawanda or came up with just an acceptable term that disparaged her based on her phenotype, we would be crying. Oppression. The oppression cries would be loud and hypocritical, because calling white women Karens is completely acceptable, and it's really not. It affects our outcome as we move about society when we are aggressive in that way or negative in that way, putting out that venomous energy towards people, not based on an individual basis, but on a collective stereotype. So that's not fair. I think it should stop. Another microaggression against whites, and this is really another one, white women get attacked, and their sexuality commented on by calling them Becky with the good hair. It's Becky is a colloquialism, a slang term for fellatio, and it grew out of the urban legend that white women are more likely to give fellatio to people randomly than black people. Black women. I don't know who does what more, but I know that, some of our biggest MLS and unambiguous stars make millions of dollars talking about coochie and how they give up coochie. So, to each his own. Do what you want. And that the politics of purity culture, that's a whole nother discussion. But it's a talking point for black women to look down on white women. So it's hypocritical to call white women Becky's when black sexuality is more liberated than ever before. Like, it's just a negative thing to do. And right now, women of all races really need to come together, because we have to be the ones to shift the culture back to balance. And that's one reason why this channel exists. So we don't need to have like purity Olympics with one another, and let us set a standard for knowing that our energy is valuable and that every woman has the right to do with her sexuality what she will. I really don't think that it's a good idea for us to shame one another and call white women Becky's. It's just hypocritical, rude, and unnecessary, and it's ruining our brand. The brand for Black America. And again, American culture is the export that the world values. And black people, especially in the 40s and 30s and 50s, when Hollywood was the golden age of Hollywood, and even in the 70s and 80s and 90s, black culture was excellent. We had the Michael Jordans, the Oprahs. That's really the 90s. Others stand out, Arthur Ashe, people who made an impact, and they uh, really were ambassadors of the American culture and brand. And we have to get back to that by showing the efficacy of the American business model, the American system. And we have to buy into the system and understand the system and believe that the system works. Because if you do not believe that the system works, it will not work for you. If you do not believe that the system of America works, it will not work for you. So for us to improve our brand and strengthen our relationship with others in America and really navigate the political landscape of the world, we have to be strong Americans. We are more American than anyone else. According to Sheikh Anta Diop, I believe is the name of the author, Africans came before Columbus arrived here in America. I'm not sure how true it is, but I know that since the slave trade, we've been here before America was America. And the first person to take a bullet in the Revolutionary War so that America could become America was Crispus Attucks. Now, according to Wikipedia, they say he was a mulatto. So he was MLS. So anyhow, this is just the reality of us in America. We are Americans. Most black people who are American descendants of slavery, the ADOS community, most of the ADOS community has some admixture from a white ancestor. Maybe it's just 10%. Maybe it's just 10%. But if you think about that, that's quite a hefty bit of admixture, 10%. If you think about a bottle of pepper or a pepper shaker, if you put salt, 10%, if you took out 10% of that pepper and replaced it with salt, and now the composition is 90% pepper and 10% salt, do you think it would make a difference in how the food tastes when you use it? The flavor changes for American descendants of slavery, and the emphasis should just be on American. The African influence is there, but so is the European influence. And that part of us that we had been forced to deny for many years, that's not going to be able to continue to happen. Black people will have to, especially the multi-generationally mixed people, which is most of all the African descendants of slaves, whatever your percentage, embrace it and understand that you are no less than a white person. And so you give them high respect because you deserve high respect. That's the law of correspondence. That's the law of attraction. You get what you give. So another microaggression that needs to end is talking about how white women age like milk and how black don't crack. Now, it could be said that black don't crack, it just gets fat. Because it seems like the obesity rates and the overweight, the numbers of overweight people in Black America could improve and definitely are higher than those of our white counterparts. So there's room for improvement there. So making fun of that or even thinking that it's really true it's not a good brand, a way to improve our brand. It doesn't help us to have that because everybody gets old here if we're lucky. And I mean, we've got the Jane Fondas and the Sophia Lorens of the world. We've got the Cher. I mean, well, she's had a lot of help. But, we've got these ladies that we can say, okay, well, she's still looking good. She's out here with a young 30-something-year-old black man, MLS man on her arm. So there it is, So just be aware that brand is not helpful. It could be thrown back at us that, we blow up, and like I said, black don't crack, it just gets fat. And now I'm not fat, honey. I'm skinny because I do believe that nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. Shout out to the model who said that, Kate Moss. Yes, sis, I agree. So we can just end saying that, because look at Kate Moss. She looks fantastic. She's, 50s. Again, that part of our brand has to end. Another funny little quip that isn't a good idea to continue saying is that white people don't season their food. People make jokes about it. But the fact is, they own most of the restaurants, so they must season it well enough for us to keep going and getting those chicken tenders, getting those little hockey puck burgers. So, what is it? What are we doing here? What are we saying? White people don't season their food. It's not true. And I know plenty of black people who like bland food. So, yeah. Nigerian food, West African food, so spicy and delicious. Indian food, spicy and delicious. Moroccan food, all of that. Yes, some ethnicities certainly do crank up the flavor. However, most people enjoy that food. And, if white people don't season their food, who cares? Maybe it's a funny thing to joke about, but it's sometimes a way to be negative and kind of, try to humble white people or have a negative talking point against someone who is a threat to your dating. And that's really with black women and white women, the divide is there because women feel threatened that they might steal the other person's man.
What's your name? Lindsay. Lindsay, close enough. Baby Lindsay, all I know is you're a threat if you walk up to a black woman's man, okay? Because we will smooth walk right the fuck up behind our man like this. What you and Becky with the good hair talking about?
So it's only natural for that bit of competition to exist. But now women are reorganizing their lives and not acting out of fear of being without a man. So hopefully, and people are calling it decentering men. So hopefully, women can start to get together so we can heal the culture and heal the racial divide in America and get things moving ahead again. Get our culture together so we can have the standout culture and export that. Because if you haven't been out of the country to see abject poverty, just Google some videos on Venezuela and just discover why these men are, coming across the Rio Grande, smuggling themselves into the country. Get a load of how they live in Russia. Just look at the culture of lying flat in China. Just take a gander at how they executed some of the COVID policies in China. You don't want to live there. Not having the freedoms that we have in America. Even if you go to the Caribbean and get off the resort, leave the hotel, go see where the people actually live, you would be astounded because we don't know poverty here. So, I encourage you to reconsider your stance if you hate America, because, honey, this is the best place in the universe. Anyhow, I'm here to help heal the racial divide. Let me know your thoughts on what I am saying. And also, please like and share the video. And tell me if you can identify other microaggressions that are hypocritical that we can stop doing so that we can improve our MLS brand, our Black American brand, our American brand. So I hope this is good, and I'll be back with a video very, very soon.